Hey everybody! Today we're here with Mak Jagger of Mak Jagger Tarot, fellow Austinite. This is pretty cool getting to do one of these with somebody right next to me. So if you want to start out with kind of how you got into tarot, kind of what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
All that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. So thank you for coming to my space here in Austin, Texas. This is my tarot loft. Got my neon light here on the wall. I'm Mak Jagger. I'm locally in Austin, but I do work with clients all around the world. I work with the tarot for most of my life, probably since 1999. So however long ago that was, is how long I've been working with this tool. And I have been studying astrology pretty diligently. I have my own self-guided practice, and I've worked with some teachers over there about that. I've worked with Sandra Reynolds, and I have been developing my own personal astrological practice since like 2015, and that definitely informs my tarot practice quite a bit. However, I am exclusively in the realm of intuitive consulting. I pretty much primarily work with the tarot and like other mediums like EFT. I'm not a consulting astrologer. I consider myself an astrologer practically, and I'm definitely like have enough working knowledge to, I think, own that title, but I'm not a consulting astrologer in the way that I don't read charts, but I use the tarot to read folks. Obviously, that's my profession, but I also infuse my understanding of the current transits many times in the reading. So it's more mundane astrology, less personal. I'm not looking at the individual's charts, but I am still consulting from that like, astrological perspective.
And I think that's very cool to bring in transits and things, current transits and things like that when reading tarot, bringing these together,
right?
Bridging
like
these,
yeah.
Yes, kind of. Not that necessarily the worlds need to be bridged, but just
right.
the actually bridging them. If you will, I think that's very cool.
They're like informed by each other for sure. Like they're in the same
realm.
They're in the same realm. Like they're definitely like friends. But I think a lot of practitioners do use both, work with both in their personal lives. Some of us, work with clients more specifically in certain realms or another. I don't think that I'm qualified to professionally consult on someone's birth chart, but I'm definitely interested in, and it's also, I think, as I was sharing with you before, like astrology is the lens by which I view the world. It has such a huge impact on my understanding of the human experience. So it only feels organic and natural that I would integrate that in my tarot practice, having an understanding of the way that the transits are affecting the more mundane parts of life, like the more collective experience, and how that's going to be infused in someone individually. I don't necessarily need to know their birth chart or even their sun sign, to be able to consult on that.
Have you ever, like reading for people in that way, has anybody ever been like, oh, damn, that transit that you're talking about, that these cards pulled, it's hitting the hell out of my son right now, or something like that. Where like, damn.
The long-term client of mine, somebody I work with really intimately, I don't, because I'm not an astrologer, I don't know her birth information, and I know it's not super pertinent for me to know exactly how old she is. She's been going through quite a bit, and turns out she's in her second Saturn return. And, finding that information out was she went to an astrologer, found that out, and then came back to me with that. And she was like, do you know anything about this? And I was like, well, yes, I know quite a bit about that. As somebody who, fairly recently out of my first Saturn return, I'm like 35 this year. So, I'm on the firmly on the other side of it, but.
Oh, were you born in 87 too?
I was.
Me too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. So like you understand, like firmly on the other side of your Saturn return, but still in the recent enough rearview mirror that you can speak to it
and remember it
pretty
vividly and not very fondly.
I can remember. I don't know if this is kind of a sidebar, but I can remember the day that because I Saturn retrograde, so I had the 3 hits. The final hit of my Saturn return was the Saturday before the 2016 election.
Oh.
I didn't really know much about astrology at that point. I was still very new in my practice, so I really wasn't super familiar with like my own chart. I knew the Saturn return was a thing, but I didn't know when mine was happening. So I wasn't really like viewing the day from that lens. But and I don't remember hardly very much about that time. I was going through a lot of trauma at that time, but I can remember that specific day, like it's a movie in my head. Like I can remember what I had for lunch. I can remember a text message that I sent. I can remember like
it's like ingrained
pictures I took. Like, yeah, it's like
or branded.
Yes, it is a very distinct memory, and it's funny because I didn't really realize at the time what transformational experience I was really having. And I don't remember the other 2 hits nearly as well, but that day is like very burned.
Was your Saturn in your chart, is it when this hit happened? Was it when transit Saturn was retrograde or direct? Do you remember?
You know, I don't know.
Okay.
I know it was the last direct hit of my Saturn return. Is all I can really tell you.
Is your natal Saturn direct?
I do believe my natal Saturn is direct.
I wonder if that has something to do with it, because the last hit is usually a direct, moving from direct motion, and I wonder if maybe it has something to do with your natal Saturn being direct.
Oh, I'm sure it has something to do with like the way it was hitting my chart, but I just like I never really looked, or if I have looked, it didn't stick. But I just know that day, and I know for sure it was the day that the last hit of my Saturn return was directed. It was a very distinctive day. Distinctive in that nothing actually really happened.
You just remember it.
I just remember it.
No, yeah, yeah. No, I understand. Yeah.
All right.
I do.
Yeah. I feel like anybody who's been through that Saturn return experience and kind of is still close enough to it to recall the memories. It's like hearing somebody else go through their Saturn return and say, oh, now that gives another lens to all the work we've been doing together, because it's all there, it's all there. Then like the different mediums pick up what's there. It's just like the lens by which you have to view it. And since I don't, consult with people's birth charts when I do readings for them, unless they happen to know what transits they're going through, or they share what age they are, and those banner year transits I might be able to pick up on. So anyway, kind of a sidebar, but just kind of shows you how these things come together.
Yeah, it's an interesting sidebar to bring in, because I would figure that some people that come to you, even if you don't see their birth chart, they probably know their birth chart. They know what transits are going on. And so when you're pulling a card or pulling cards for them, and something comes up and you touch on the astrology of it, they're like, oh, fuck.
Right, yeah.
That's totally what's going,
Yeah, and a lot of times I'll be able to sense something like Saturn return, like a big one.
Yeah.
People's solar returns, they will often tell me, hey, I'm getting my birthday birthday reading, so like I'll oftentimes know about that. But there are also things like that, like I said, I typically speak more from the consideration of mundane astrology. So I'm like, this is not just happening to you, it's happening to all of us.
Yes.
And this is how it's manifesting in your life, given what these cards are showing us, and the interactions and experiences you're having are reflections of the fact that you're having this experience, which is centered around the fact that like today, for instance, like Neptune is, where recently Neptune was Cassini. So it's like we're all experiencing that. We are all in the last week of the zodiacal year, we're all experiencing that. So that's definitely the framework that like the readings that I gave today were kind of, the lens that I was seeing that through.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Do you want to, because I like people to be able to show up what they do.
Sure, absolutely.
Kind of, show kind of, which, like if you were to pull a card or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of how you would integrate.
Yeah, because it's like I never know what cards are going to come up, right? When I'm doing the reading, it's just the luck of the draw, so to speak. So, and like anything in readings, I only speak to it if it's there. I don't go mining for it. I'm not like going into a reading and being like, oh, Neptune was Cassini today, so I have to talk about that.
Yeah, it just kind of organically pops up.
It just makes sense. Like, let's say doing a reading and Mercury happens to be retrograde, like, likely whatever communication issue someone's having is having to do with that. Like recently, the Venus retrograde has been massively affecting people. I mean, we're out of it now, but
yeah, that little fucker was fucking some shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I had one client come to me and she was in a, I don't want to say too much, but she's consulting professional in a different way, and she was noticing this threat amongst all of her clients and getting scared that she was maybe projecting issues. And I was like, no, we're all having resource-based issues right now. Like it's in the cosmos. Like it is not just you, and it's not just your clients, it's everybody. Yeah. But, all right, let's see what we got for today.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the Empress. What a wonderful card.
That's nice.
So the Empress, kind of speaking from this perspective of the moment in time we're in and the astrology that we're looking at here, and we are coming out of, said Venus's time in Capricorn, and now Venus is still under Saturn rule in Aquarius, but it is kind of coming back into its direct movement. It's fine, it's fully direct, it's out of its shadow, so it's like finally gaining speed. And the Empress is a very Venusian card, so very much like calling back to your resources, calling back to your confidence, calling back to your energy source, which has a lot to do with the fact that we are heading into Aries season and the astrological new year and the turning of the the times in that way, and really releasing all of 2021 energy and stepping into 2022. The Empress is about full embodiment, calling your power back to you. It's also very like fertility in springtime and like stepping back into that, really stepping back into your beliefs and your confidence around yourself, and just like feeling your power come back. And so when we, also talk about another aspect of today, Neptune was Kazimi, which means it was in the heart of the sun. And although Neptune is not a planet that I would really interpret with Empress energy, anytime a planet is holding court with the sun, it is able to sort of get its vitality in a certain way. Yeah. And it is Pisces season, so the sun is in a Neptune ruled sign. So the Empress is very much about like the ruler of Pisces going to the sun, getting infused with that power, and then bringing it back to us so that we can live a more embodied life, and to be able to just really embrace like the coming of spring and this shift that's about to occur, which I think is going to be a significant shift around people's relationship to themselves and relationship with their energy. And that's very much Empress. So you can kind of see how this card can integrate with things that we're looking at there.
I love that. I think that's so cool. I think that's very cool that you do that. I play with tarot myself and do that. But I don't actually integrate the transits in this way. I feel like I should probably start.
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's any shoulds or should not. There's no right or wrong way, of course.
No, but it kind of makes sense.
Right. Well, I bet if you really look back at the way you work with tarot, you would see that it's already there, because it's so present in your thinking, right? Like as an astrologer, it's like so present in your thinking that it's probably just so present that maybe it's hard to notice because it's like everything.
That very well could be that very well could be what's going on.
It's like it might just be so ingrained in like the way you think that it just comes naturally, and but at the same time we have to think about the way we understand things and the way our clients understand things, not the same thing. So even though you might realize, oh, obviously this is happening because this phenomenon is occurring, whatever planet's retrograde or blah blah blah,
they might not
know that, right? So you explaining that to them in a way that is, which I like that, and that's why I really like the tarot, because it does take it out of context a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not just me being like, well, duh, Venus is doing this. It's like, okay, the Empress is a very Venusian card, so this is why we're looking at Venusian themes, because the Empress is all about embodying the luxuries of the physical world and stepping into your values, and so that's why we're going to anchor that with Venus, and it kind of just gives them this like visual to think about the planets as less abstract and more like concepts that they can kind of understand.
Yeah,
citing archetypes and such.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
So thank you.
Is there anything that you would like to share about what you do that I may not know to ask, or that
of course, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so like, well, I'm here in Austin. So if you're local in Austin, you can always come and see me. I'm at the Ethereal Gift Collective, where it's okay if I share your connection to this place.
Sure.
So Stacey's mother is shop manager here at the store that I am, the boutique that I am a silent partner of, co-owner of, and this is where my loft is. So I am by appointment only, but you can find me at makjaggertarot.com. I have a wide variety of offerings. Like I said, mostly tarot centric. I also work with EFT, which if you're not familiar is emotional freedom techniques or tapping. It's a body-based modality that allows you to reprogram your subconscious. Pairs really well with tarot. So yeah, thank you. So tarot's like my main focus. I don't advertise so much that I use the astrological perspective. It's just sort of ingrained in like how I approach things, and it's like I said, it's sort of just situational. Like, does it feel appropriate? Then I'll say it. If it doesn't, then I don't. So yeah, but I do solar return birthday readings, which are always really great to get a snapshot of your year. Also this week I am doing astrological New Year readings. So it's a special offering that I've got. So you can find out more about that at makjaggertarot.com or on the Instagram, which is also makjaggertarot.
And I will put both of the links in the description box below for your Instagram, for your website.
Thank you. Yeah, that'll be great.
If you want me to put one for Ethereal, I can too.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, yes, it's a wonderful place.
Yeah, it is. It is a really cool store. All kinds of stuff, like vintagey, some metaphysical stuff. Very, very cool. Very cool
lots of wonderful like femme and fun vendors, and I sell some resale and vintage. Courtney, my business partner, is an excellent candle maker.
Yeah, she really is. My mom has a few of them in there.
Yeah, they're good stuff. So, and she uses vintage vessels to just really fun stuff, really unique stuff that you can really only find for this. So.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna head off here. But
Thank you for the opportunity. This is really fun.
I'm glad. Thank you for wanting to do this. This is fun.
This is a fun thing to talk about. This is not something I talk about a lot. Like, it's just sort of something that I don't even know, kind of like I was saying to you, like, I don't even know that I realized how much I was doing it maybe until maybe the middle of last year. It became like really evident. Like, I was starting to notice trends and readings and like, well, this makes sense because obviously astrology is like just the tracking of trends.
Yeah.
So like it all is interconnected.
It is. And I think it's really, really cool that you integrate them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know that
even if it's just more
right. At this point I don't know that there was like, because with active reading is like you don't want to hold anything back,
Absolutely.
So it's like and the more you like improve your knowledge base and the tools you work with, it just makes sense that it would naturally sort of infuse it. So
yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being able to share.
Yeah. Thank you for wanting to come on.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much. I'll see you at the shop sometime.
And I will see y'all later on.
Yeah.